So in today's video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to make your drums, okay? I'm going to teach you how to use the snare, how to use the hi-hat, how to use the 808, how to use the kick in the bass, and all of that, okay? So just before we start the video, don't forget to subscribe, to follow all my social media, which is down below. And yeah, that's it. Let's jump on FL Studio and start the video. So guys, I'm right here on FL Studio. I'm just gonna put my headphones right here. So I got a melody right here. I'm just gonna play it, you get what I mean? And I'm just gonna make drums for this melody. And this is an important part, you get what I mean? When you're about to make trap drums, of course, there's kind of a pattern, but it depends on the melody as well. If you have more melody, depend of the melody. Like if the melody, basically the melody can ask you for a different type of drums, whether you're going to use a snare or clap or an 808 or a kick and a bass, open hats or not, you get what I mean? The melody is a big factor for how will you build your drums, you get what I mean? So I just wanted to point out that first, okay? So I'm just gonna play this melody and then we're gonna build these these drums. Really vibey melody. So this is it. Now the first thing I'm going to explain right here is how to use this snare, okay? So I'm just going to be very snare and the clap, okay? It could be basically the first thing is snare or clap, okay? So I'm just going to use, I have a lot of drum kits. Sometimes I use my drum kit, sometimes I use another person's drum kit, you get what I mean? I'm just going to use this drum kit, and I usually like more snare, which is this one. Something like this, and then we've got the clap. Oh, I changed it to crash, but it's this one. Okay, you can see the difference between them. You can see that even in the group of snares, there's some snares that are more different than the others, but it has more that sound, you get what I mean? So I think this melody, I think he's asking more for a clap. Yeah. Yeah, I think this clap. You know what I mean? So this is what you have to do. Is like, what will it combine? You know what I mean? And that's the best way to really place the drums the right way. You know what I mean? It's to understand what is the melody asking for. Okay. So just drag right here. Click here on disable use loop points. It's going to be a problem if you don't do that. Sometimes there's no problem that happens, you get what I mean, when you don't disable, but sometimes there's some problems that happen, like the clap is sound like da 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 da, and you're like, what the fuck did I do, you get what I mean? So just always disable that because it will help you to not have some problems, okay? So then so basically this is it, you get what I mean? Just check out if there's the time right here is not like this, because then it will sound like not what you heard right here. But this is it, you get what I mean? This is two things, the two things that I just explained to you, things that you gotta do with your other instruments as well, with your other percussions, okay? So I don't have to explain this more times. This is what you have to do for the everything, you get what I mean? So basically, for the snare or clap, you gotta place always right here in the middle. Okay, right here in the middle, right here in the middle, and that's it. Then you just Command B or Control B, and this is it. It's done. Okay. What you can do is you can make some variations, like, for example, like this. Yeah. So, for example, this. Okay. And that's it, you get what I mean? You can be a little bit more creative, do things like, I don't know, like this, and then just do it, and if it sounds good, okay, it's not a problem, you get what I mean? Because there's no rules, you get what I mean? The most important factor right here is, does it sound good? You get what I mean? What you're doing, you get what I mean? So right here, go right here on velocity, and just just put it on maximum velocity, and then it will sound way better. It will hit harder, which is what you want. So this is it. The clap, it's down, and let's the clap or the snare, whether doesn't really matter. Is what do you think is the best? By the way, if you're interested into learning more how to make better trap beats and melodies and how to mix it, and you want more good sounds for the drums, for the melodies, I basically got a course which is in the link in the description, where I teach you how to make melodies, make drums, and how to mix your beats, you get what I mean? And then I give you access to a free sound kit with the sounds that I'm using right now in this melody, a free drum kit and a free template, okay? So if you're interested, it's down below, go check it out, and let's continue with the video. So now let's talk about the hi-hats. This is not the hi-hat, this is the hi-hat, yeah. So this is the hi-hats. So I think this one combines. So do all that I told you, blah, 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 okay. And then just go right here, fill each 2 steps. Especially a beginner, I highly recommend you to do that, because it just helps you. So yeah, what I like to do is to just like add some rolls. And then you can go right here, and this helps you to basically be able to add more notes right here. Okay, and then after this I just basically usually just copy this up, and then I don't really do so much. But here, the truth is, right here, you can be extremely more creative with what you're doing, okay? So there's some people that don't even, they stop right here. You can do a lot of things. You can even put things like here. You get what I mean? You can do a lot of things, you get what I mean, right here. So just be creative and do a lot of things. You can even like search on Google patterns of hi-hat, and then you're going to see some images, and then you can just try a lot of different things, you get what I mean? But all depends of the style, and all depends on your personal tastes, okay? So there's no like, he like can be extremely more creative than with the snare or the clap, okay? Even though with the snare, with the clap, you can still do some different things. But yeah, the truth is, like, if you're making a beat, if the melody is very simple, you can have more complicated drums. But if you have a very complicated melody, I recommend you more to have like a more simpler drums, you get what I mean? Because you don't want extremely complicated drums and extremely complicated melody, because then maybe it can be too much. And then if you're making a beat, whether it's for yourself or for an artist, it will end up not having a lot of space for the artist, whether the artist is you or someone else. So that's it. This is what I do. Just lower a little bit right here, and that's it. You know what I mean? You can as well go right here on the velocity, but usually I just do that with the snare and the clap. That's something that I just learned, and it absolutely helps me to make the snare or the clap sound extremely better. So after this, I'm going to talk about right now, basically this is the pattern I usually build my drums, you get what I mean? I start with the snare and then the hi-hat. So now it's a time that I will use the 808 or the kick and the bass, okay? So I'm just going to teach you first how to use the kick and the bass, and then we talk about the 808, which is probably the thing that you want to learn the most, you get what I mean? Because a lot of people have problems with that, okay? But for the kick and the bass, something that I didn't learn, you get what I mean, is that to use the kick, only the kick, and not the kick with the 808, you have to use the bass, you get what I mean? This is something I didn't know. Like, I remember using kick in the beginning, you get what I mean, and just doesn't sound as good, you get what I mean? That's why I told you kick and bass, because you have to use them together, because then it will not work, you get what I mean? So the first thing I'm gonna do is the bass. So I'm just gonna use the bass from my drum kit. Where's my drum kit? It's right here. And this is as well, there's a lot of types of Bess is like the other way. There's a lot of types of Bess. Bess, how do I say Besses? I don't know. But yeah, usually, personally, my personal taste is more like a smooth Bess, but there's some Bess that is more like, you know what I mean? But I just like the smooth. Like, for example, this one. So I'm going to use this one. Cut itself. This is something that you're going to use as well for the other way, so remember that. So for this, it's the same way that you build the other way. So basically, you got to go like, what's the root notes of the main melody? So it's this one, okay? So basically, I know that it's basically, this is the, I just got to go right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically 4 notes without counting the first one. So it's right here. I'm just gonna, basically it's right here, these notes, and then I just go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's, oh fuck. So it's basically this note, okay? So this is it, you get what I mean? So now you can build this. Now you just gotta know the other notes actually right here. So right here it goes like this. So basically this is the notes that you should use. You can do something different right here. But I personally like to just do something like this. And especially because if it's more consistent right here, always when the kick especially plays right here, even sounds better. You know what I mean? But, or you can design more things right here, or you can make it even more simple. I like to do this way, okay? You can do the same thing I told you, like go on Google and search patterns for the bass. You know what I mean? If you want to do something more different, but I usually like this. You can go, this is too much. You got what I mean? So this is it, you got what I mean? It's still playing for whatever reason, but yeah. Oh Jesus, this doesn't stop playing. Oops. So this is how I build the bass. You know what I mean? It's extremely simple. You know what I mean? It's the same way that you build the bass and the other way work the same way. So you gotta find the root notes and put it on the same place. You can still sometimes cheat and not put exactly the same place, but in general, it has to be in the same place to sound good. You know what I mean? Because there's some times that you don't put it on the same place of the root notes, but it sounds good. You know what I mean? Because music, it's all about like, does it sound good? Whether you're not following the rules, does it sound good? If it is sounding good, it's not a problem. Okay, so now the kick. This is an important thing you have to understand. If you're using a kick with the bass, you don't need no, let me explain this first. If you're using a kick with the other way, you don't need a kick that hits that hard, because the other way is already kicking hard without the kick. So you just want more, if you're going to use a kick for the other way, you just want a kick that's more smooth, it's not that hard. Just to hit a little bit harder, but not extremely more hard. If you're using a bass, the bass, there's no like punch. So the kick that you want to use is a harder kick, okay? So this is just you gotta understand, because imagine that you use like a really smooth kick with the bass, it will sound kind of like trash. So yeah, but a lot of the times it comes not even for the type of the kick, if it's a smooth kick or a hard kick. Sometimes depends, like is the kick not loud enough, or blah blah blah, or the velocity is too low, whatever. So I'm just going to choose a kick. I like more this kick usually. So yeah, this is it. I just actually didn't, sometimes I forget. I just sometimes afterwards I remember and I disable the use the points for everything. You know what I mean? Usually this time will not be turned on, which is good, because usually I don't really have to check, but sometimes I can notice that it is. So okay, so for this, basically you don't have to follow. It's not. It doesn't work like the other way or the best. So you just put it right here, just on the same place right here. But there's something that I recommend you to do. I don't recommend. This is wrong. But you can, for example, imagine that you're putting right here on the root notes. But imagine that for whatever. What the fuck did I do? Okay, so imagine that for whatever reason, I don't understand what. For whatever reason, this is how it sounds, more high frequency. But imagine that for you sounds better. I don't know, like right here instead of right here. You can do it. You can basically change it. Okay, just don't put right here. Of course, it doesn't really sound good. Even though there's probably some people that are extremely creative that they find a way to make it sound good. But in general, I've just put on the root note of all of the percussions, which is usually the root note. So it's already sounding good. So here you can be creative right here. I don't know what the fuck is happening with the bass. Oh yeah, this is a mistake that I made. For the, yeah, this is actually wrong. You can put it on cut itself, but for the bass, you gotta do exactly what I'm, for the 808 you don't have to do this, but for the bass you have to. So do exactly what I did. You're gonna go right here, attack 0, hold 100% right here, just, no, that's not this one. Attack actually a little bit right here. Then right here like this, and just a little bit like this. So just do it this way and it will sound good, okay? Yeah, so we solved the problem. So it's already sounding good. So right here, just do the way you want. It sounds good. Just don't put the click too many times to the point that don't have space. It's always blah, 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 blah. That's not the goal. You know what I mean? You want the beat to have space. I don't know if you heard that already. You know what I mean? But it's important. And you're gonna hear that it sounds even harder and better when it's right here when the bass is playing. But yeah. For whatever reason, it's not really sounding very hard. Okay, so this one was actually sounding very good because there were 2 notes above each other. But right here, just go right here, velocity up. Go right here, and then so this is it. Just a velocity up, and right here, just increase a little bit the volume, and that's it. Something like this, recommend to something a little bit different right here, where there's just one thing that you change. So this is it. It was very simple to make the kick. Extremely simple. I mean, the most hard part that a lot of people struggle is because they don't know how to place the bass the right way. But this is it. Extremely simple. Okay. So now let's talk about the other way, which the other way is going to be extremely simple. I'm just disable this. The other way is very simple. Okay. So I'm just going to use the spins right here from my drum kit. So right here. And it's exactly the same thing as the bass. Just go right here, cut itself. Not exactly just that you have to do that thing that I explained to you, which is this part. But just go right here. And then this are the root notes. So I just usually, and the type of note I like this block right here, this square. So yeah, this is it. I'm gonna increase right here the velocity. This velocity is already. So right here, I'm just gonna decrease a little bit the velocity right here, because I don't usually like when it's too loud right here. So I'm just gonna. So guys, we are right here on another day, and basically what I was explaining is that right here, the velocity is on the maximum level. But I recommend, because sometimes it can, when you export the way, it can sound like distorted and shit. So I don't really recommend you to put the velocity on maximum. I recommend like we'll call this like 90% instead of 100%. So I would just like recommend you to do that. Okay, it's just something from my personal experience. So right now I'm just gonna really just basically what I recommend, just build like basically this pattern is already done from the first 4 bars, and then to complete the 8 bars, I recommend to at least you have something that makes it a little bit different, okay? Usually at the end, okay? So I'm just basically gonna, let's see, I just would like to change this. Okay, but basically, just copy this up, and then, let me just, but yeah, so basically right here, or you change something like right here, or you just change for something right here. I'm just gonna do something right here. But this is probably gonna sound bad, but sometimes I just wanna do something different, you get what I mean? No, it doesn't focus. For example, I'll put it away on the same place of the clap, which is a terrible idea. Yeah, that sounds good. You got what I mean? Now I'm just gonna put it a little bit louder. And then you can, for example, go right here and boost a little bit. It depends on the occasion. Sometimes you feel like it needs a boost. Sometimes you don't feel like it needs a boost. So don't just like see this as a rule. Oh, I have to boost it to really sound hard. No, don't. And if you listen to the songs on Spotify, on all of the main, how do you call it, the stream I don't know. You're gonna see like the 808 actually doesn't hit that hard. So it's not something that you gotta do. Just if you really feel that it's not hitting really hard, not that if it's not feeling really hard, you have to do this when it's feeling that is hitting. No, it's like it's hitting. It's hitting weak. You got what I mean? It's really weak. You got what I mean? That's when you should do this. When it's already sounding pretty hard, you don't really have to. You got what I mean? It can actually be worse. You got what I mean? Especially if then you export the beat and then the other way sounds distorted and because it's too loud or whatever. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. You get what I mean? But that you can still make mistakes like further. That's something that a lot of the times comes with experience, like knowing how to, like the more that you make drums, the more that you make it faster, and you have the ability to have creativity and all of that. But yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna, yeah, I think it's maybe this is too loud. Okay, for sure. So I was just like, something happened with the filter, I don't know. But yeah, so right here, now what we are gonna do, it's the rest of the things, because basically what we've done already, it's the main, that's my camera right here. We've done the main things, which is like the main percussion, which is the snare or the clap, and then the hi-hat, and then the bass or the kick, or the other way. This is the most important thing that you have to learn, and this is what people struggle the most. Especially the bass and the kick, or the other way. That's what people, the other way is the thing that people struggle the most, you got what I mean? And you for sure know that, because that's probably the reason, one of the biggest reasons why you're watching this video. So now, I'm going to talk about more advanced things that you should just know once you already know the basics, okay? So now let's talk about the open hat, okay? Basically, we've got the open hat and then the percussions. Of course, there's other things like something called like, there's another percussions that has another name like crashes or hits, but that's something like usually when you use to arrange the beat, but like chants right here. But usually we've got the open hats and the percussions, you know what I mean? So let's talk about the open hats, because the open hats, I think there's really things that are very interesting, and you can be creative and you can use in different ways. So I think it's something that I really gotta talk about, you know what I mean? Because I remember in the beginning, I didn't know what was an open hat. I thought that an open hat or something like that, you just used on these like really old type of songs with the bands that they use like, you get what I mean? But no, you actually can use that in a modern way, you get what I mean? Beginners won't know this, but people that are already here will like, yeah, it's completely opposite. So, yeah. So I'm just gonna use like an open hat right here. So basically, yeah, just drag it, disable use the points. I think I didn't disable right here. I did. So, right here, just go right here, and you can do it in two ways, okay? Or you basically go right here on the main notes, and you just do like something like this, where it plays together with the bass on the kick or the other way. Right here. It can be like this, or just like this, or just like or just like this. You can be creative. There's no really rules right here, okay? But you can use as an percussion as well. So something like no. This sounded kind of bad. Something like that, okay? You can use that way as well. So this is how you can use it. You can as well you can, this is something you can do for the hi-hat and other things as well. The hi-hat, the kick. You can just maybe want to use it right here. Or right here. Because it sounds good for whatever reason. That's just your personal taste, okay? This is how you can use it, the open hat, okay? There's something called like... No, this is not this. Crash, which is kind of an open hat. I'll just call it an open hat, but this thing you can use that too. For example, this is clearly an open hat, but for example, this one is more different. But for example, I have been starting to use just sometimes let me just something like I'll call this an open hat. But yeah. So I just basically just do something like this, just because I want to be creative, like. Of course, not too loud, but you understand what I mean. Like, just be creative. It depends upon the style. Maybe you want something more simple. Maybe you don't even want to use open hats, and that's fine. Okay, but just something. I just want to show some possibilities to you. Okay, so this is the open hats. Let's talk about the percussions. The percussions, there's not really to talk about. They work the same as the open hat as a percussion. So you're not gonna put at the same time right here like as the open hat, but you just put it right here, you get what I mean? Just find some space. Not when it's playing the snare, the snare clap, not when it's playing the open the way or the bass and kick. When none of that is playing, you can. You get what I mean? It's playing, and the clap or the snare is not playing, and the open in the other way or the bass and key is not playing when this is playing. Not this playing right here. The other way, the clap right here. Here the space. You get what I mean? So that's what you gotta do. You can be creative. So basically, that's what you do. You get what I mean? So I'm just gonna show another thing so you can see how can you use percussions in a creative way. Very simple. Which is basically, there's one specific that it usually sounds very good. There's a song called Space Cadet from Metro Boomin. Basically, it's a feeding Ghana, which they use that, something like that, you know what I mean? Which is this one. I don't know if this is the same, but kind of like this. So basically they use like this. It's better to just, so not in all of them, but like, for example, like this. For example. You get what I mean? Something like that, you get what I mean? So This is something that if you just want to add more things just because your personal taste it's asking for, it's very perfect, you get what I mean? You don't have to even add percussions up ahead to have a good beat, but if you want to, yeah, you get what I mean? And especially in trap, you will use those things, you get what I mean? I don't think actually just in trap, actually, I think that's wrong. I think that actually, yeah, and actually a lot of things use it as well. Of course, there's some that maybe some genres use more open heads, some use more whatever. But here you don't have to just be inside of a box. You can a little bit more creative, of course, especially if you're selling. Imagine like you're making like a type beat channel. Maybe you don't, if you're like making a type beat, whatever Drake, you maybe don't want to be extremely creative because then it's not type Drake, it's type whatever, it's type the style that you've just created, you get what I mean? But this is it, you get what I mean? This is how you basically make your drums, okay? And in the future, basically what I'm going to do, which is going to be very good for you, is I'm going to show you how to mix your drums, okay? So subscribe because then I'm going to release that video in the future, okay? So follow all my social media, go my program, my course basically down below if you're interested. I recommend you to join. And this is it, you know what I mean? This is it. It's very simple, not very complicated, but make sure you master the basics, which is the snare or the clap, which is super easy to master. That's the most easy thing, which is one of the fundamentals. Then the hi-hat, which is a little bit more complicated, but it's not very difficult to make a good hi-hat if you don't go too complicated in the beginning, because even if you're a beginner, you just have to make a simple hi-hat. Over time, you just can make it a little bit more complicated and use more creativity because you got the skills, you got what I mean? But yeah, so then the data away or the bass data kick, which I taught you, which is the thing that you really got to pay attention because a lot of people struggle. This is it. So yeah, do what I just told you before, and yeah, goodbye. I'll see you in the next one.